Welcome back to the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast now, and discussing some more on the wide receiver part of, a team. Obviously, we got to look at the Kansas City Chiefs because while they have been known for a great offense, obviously this year they're 4-0. They're doing things right, but what hasn't gone right for them and has actually gone from bad to worse happened last Sunday in the game against the Chargers where I think it was early first quarter or second quarter maybe where Patrick threw an interception intended for Rashee Rice, and during that return, Asante Samuel had the ball hit out of his hands by Rashee Rice, who tracked back, made the tackle, and then that could have been a great play just overall if it finished there. But Patrick also was trying to tackle Asante Samuel Jr. and he went low while Rashee Rice came up behind Asante Samuel and punched the ball out from behind, and Samuel kind of moved out of the way, and Patrick, of course, going low, completely takes out his own receiver, Rashee Rice, unfortunately, and it didn't look good. It didn't look good from what we saw live, and he was obviously helped off the field, was carted back into the locker room, and just some more bad luck for the Chiefs in this regard because the wide receivers, the offensive weapons that they had, looked great before the season, and now they're down to I don't want to say just their backups, right? Like a negative connotation, but really the guys that maybe they weren't expecting to rely heavily upon just going into week 5 already, right? And it didn't look too bad. I mean, it didn't look good, the injury to Rashee Rice. And, they still haven't given us a definite analysis on what it's going to be. Head coach Andy Reid mentioned that they're going to wait for the swelling to go down to try and do some more tests on him. So, it's still up in the air. Some people think it's an ACL, a PCL injury or something like that, which would end his season. But I'm sure the Chiefs and a lot of fans are staying optimistic about it. So until it's definite, we don't really know how long he's going to be out. But it just adds on to the laundry list of players they're going to be missing, right? Hollywood Brown had shoulder surgery. He's not going to be able to return, it looks like, in the regular season. Then also you had Isaiah Pacheco have a fracture, I believe, in his leg. He's probably going to miss most, if not all, of the regular season as well. And, that's already 2 of the guys that you're heavily relying upon to create offense. I know Hollywood Brown didn't play in the regular season, but Isaiah Pacheco was that running game. So now you're looking at Samaje Perine, you're looking at Sky Moore, Juju Smith-Schuster, who just came back this year. Guys like Justin Watson. Travis Kelce had a better game, so maybe this gets him more involved, but still, I think Xavier Worthy also can't go without mentioning him. It's not awful, right? But still, because it's the Chiefs and it's not awful, but anybody else, it wouldn't do the job at all. And you don't want to have the same thing happen as last year, right? Where Patrick is having troubles, isn't playing well because he's not on the same page as the receivers or they're just not good enough. And last year you had the benefit of having Isaiah Pacheco, right? He was a great option for them. Probably could have done the same this year, but now he's down hurt. Have to use Samaje Perine, Carson Steele, the rookie, who has looked good, but he's fumbled, I think, once or twice. So, I don't know. I mean, they're 4-0. It's not the end of the world, but still, where do we look for help now? Because the Chiefs, we're talking about history here, right, with the Chiefs. We're not just talking about trying to make the playoffs or getting to a Super Bowl. They've done that plenty. We're taking it next level now, talking about repeating as Super Bowl champions for the 3rd consecutive year. This obviously means a lot to them to cement their names in history even more than they already have. So what needs to happen for that to happen now? Because it's looking a little bit dicey now with how the Bills are playing, the Ravens, and the Texans obviously still. You're going to need more than just these guys, right? And that's where we get to the names of Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams, we have to mention him, and DeAndre Hopkins for me, in some potential trade scenarios that I have been, sort of seeing on social media or just other websites that continue to link these 3 names to the Chiefs, and they've all been mentioned as real options. I'd like to remind you guys that the trade deadline is on November 5th, so about exactly a month away from now. Maybe the Chiefs can do something, and I think if they were to do it, it would be with one of these three guys. Why is it Amari Cooper? Why is it DeAndre Hopkins or even Davante Adams? Well, looking at specifically Amari Cooper and Hopkins, right? Those two are the prime candidates, 1A and 1B for me. Davante, I'll just mention it now. Probably not going to go to the Chiefs. I just have to mention him, obviously, because he requested a trade. I'm sure he would have no problem going to the Chiefs, but the Raiders in that same division, no chance. They're asking for a second-round pick. If the Chiefs really want him, I'm only asking them to give me like 2 first-round picks back-to-back years. If I'm the Raiders, I'm not giving Davante Adams to the Chiefs. That's just the reality. He's probably going to go to the Jets. We talked about it yesterday, but it's really Amari Cooper and DeAndre Hopkins. Why these two names? It makes the most sense because you look at the scenarios that both of their current teams are dealing with right now. You have the Cleveland Browns sitting at 1-3, and also the Tennessee Titans sitting at 1-3. And their situations over the next couple of weeks could determine if either the Browns or either the Titans try to cash in on Amari Cooper or try to cash in on DeAndre Hopkins, because obviously if they say over the next 4 weeks they lose 2 or 3 of those games and it's looking very bad, their chances of making the playoffs at that point are not very good, and you're coming up right against the trade deadline, right? For a lack of better terms, if you're just going to mail it all in and just give up essentially on this year, why not try to get something out of Hopkins and Amari Cooper, who Cooper I think is 30 years old, DeAndre Hopkins 32 years old. Could be interesting for a team like the Chiefs who needs receivers, and I'm sure other teams that I'm not mentioning, but it depends a lot on their situations, right? And it's so interesting that they're both 1-3, and the contract situations for both of these receivers is what makes this so anticipated for me with Cooper and Hopkins. Looking at Amari Cooper, I'm sure I talked about it at some point in the offseason where Amari Cooper was actually planning on potentially holding out because of his contract situation. He is on the last year of that deal, and he was looking to get either an extension or some more guaranteed money, and he got the latter of that. The Browns didn't extend him. They decided to not extend their 30-year-old wide receiver because of the wide receiver market, obviously. Maybe they didn't feel like it was appropriate to do that for Amari at this stage in his career. So instead, all they did was they basically guaranteed the remainder of his salary. I think it was like $20 million per year. And they also added $5 million in incentives. So he's still on the last year of his deal, but he has that money guaranteed now for this last year at least. And it looks like they could be moving on from him next year potentially if they don't extend him. So instead of waiting that long, and if the situation gets really bad, if you're the Browns and you're like 1 and if you're like 1-5 or something like that, or like 2-6 or something, then it could be pretty interesting to hear what the Chiefs are willing to give up to try and make those improvements to your team. And the fact that Amari Cooper is going to be a free agent anyway next year, instead of just losing him out for free, why not try and get something back? That's why the context around the Browns matters so much. And they have, if I'm not mistaken, the hardest schedule in the NFL. I don't have their schedule in front of me, but their next couple games are very difficult, and really the entirety of their schedule. So this could become a likely scenario where their record and how Deshaun Watson's playing also is in a bad place potentially. So that's why this is such a very likely option to me, in my opinion. And then similarly with DeAndre Hopkins, right? 1-3 Tennessee Titans. Will Levis hasn't looked that great. They just got their first win. The Texans are looking good. The Colts are looking pretty good as well. And they're 1-3 right now, and they're not necessarily impressing everybody with their performances. So how that goes, they could just be in a just as bad a situation as the Browns. And with a 32-year-old DeAndre Hopkins, he signed a 2-year deal in 2023, so he's also on that last year of his deal, and he would be a free agent after this year as well in 2025. So again, if you're the Titans trying to build up this young, exciting team with Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, trying to add more to that offensive line, obviously, because it needs help, or just bringing in more pieces anywhere else. Why not try and cash in on DeAndre Hopkins instead of losing him out for free next year? And they both obviously, I think, would fit what the Chiefs are looking for as well, because as much as Cooper and DeAndre Hopkins might not fit into the long-term plans of the Browns or the Titans, they don't necessarily fit that for the Chiefs either. But that's why I think would be such a perfect situation, again, for either Cooper or Hopkins to match up with the Chiefs, because they're only looking for a short-term option. The Chiefs have already the guy they're trying to build this team around and kind of move forward with them. That guy was Rashee Rice, and unfortunately he got hurt, and it's not looking great. And they had Hollywood Brown next to him. They drafted Xavier Worthy. They have this young nucleus of wide receivers already. They don't need to sign a 32-year-old wide receiver to a 3-year, $25, $27 million per year kind of deal. They don't really need that. They already have that talent. So this is why just trading for DeAndre, trading for Amari Cooper at this stage, and just riding out the remainder of that contract is too good to pass up on, in my opinion, for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I'm sure they're going to wait for the official news on Rashee Rice to kind of see where he is at and how much time he is going to miss, and I'm sure that will affect how aggressive they will be going forward in this deal. But, it's looking tough for the Browns, and I actually do have their schedule here. The Browns are 1-3, and their next couple games are against Washington, against the Eagles, against the Bengals, against the Ravens, and the Los Angeles Chargers before November 5th. It's hard to say they're guaranteed to win any of those games. Then also for the Titans, they play the Colts, the Bills, the Lions, and the New England Patriots before November 5th. They might win one, maybe two of those games, but it's not going to have a great record anyway. So, it's there. The pathway to it, in my eyes, is pretty clear right then and there. And if the Chiefs happen to lose one of these games as well, and it is obvious that they need a wide receiver because the guys that they have are playing not good or playing pretty bad, I think it'll only accelerate this process more. I think it makes too much sense. And I'm just anticipating already that Rashee Rice is going to be out for a good amount of time. So, it's there. It's there. All I did was just outline it, and don't be surprised when and more likely if the Chiefs end up trading for one of these guys. It's there. I think it's too obvious to pass up on. But who will that guy be? That's up for the Chiefs to decide. They're pretty much the same level to me. So we'll see what the Chiefs end up doing closer to November 5th. But we just mentioned both of these teams' schedules, and on that topic, we're going to go into some more of the scheduling in the NFL. Coming up after this break, we're going to talk about the other game picks that I didn't get to yesterday, the remaining 6 games that we're going to predict, go into, discuss, and analyze which team is going to come out with the victory. That is coming up after this break. We'll be right back right after this.